Crafty Nana here. I've just been doing a little bit of work on the current stone that I'm working on for Sarah. This will actually be for Fairy. So Fairy was Alan's great uncle, one of twins. One twin was Fairy and one twin was Darky, the light-haired one, the dark-haired one. He loved the spring flowers, so this one is bluebells and primroses. I'm about 50% there. I was just thinking that I really ought to add a little bit more of the green of the primroses behind the flowers here. So I'm just using watercolour pencil, and I'm going to imagine that we've got these lovely bumpy green primrose leaves here. So what I'm actually thinking is primrose leaves have got a texture that's very, very, very distinctive. It's really quite sort of humpy, bumpy, lumpy. So I just thought I'd actually find a primrose leaf that I got a better picture of. And I think this one will work really nicely. So I can get that lovely, almost sort of cabbage-like feel to it. So it's quite a yellowy green here, quite a strong, bright green. So I'm going to just drop this in almost like pounce it in so that it comes in behind these bits in here, around the edges a little bit darker. Use it to put a little bit of darkness around behind the stems of the other flowers, around the bud. There, make it nice and patchy. I want it that good. That texture is important. Okay, to make sure I keep those lovely little heart shapes into the top of the primrose petals. I'll probably add a little bit of white just down that centre, or light, really light green in there. And then in the edges, take a much finer brush, really, 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 really fine brush. A little bit of dark, dark, dark green, and maybe a little bit of grey in there as well. So very, very dark. Just put in some little cracks into that edge, like little. Had a lovely walk out through the pastures and along through a national park the day before yesterday. Really enjoyed seeing all the spring flowers growing and reacquainting myself with many of the flowers that I haven't seen for many a year. I was very lucky. My mother, when I was a child, introduced me to the names of all the wild flowers. She was absolutely excellent for that. She also used to make her own wine from all sorts of things: primroses, elderflower, elderberry port, elder primrose wine, all sorts of things. Homemade ginger beer, elderflower champagne. Let's see, the little details all starting to come forwards. A little bit more work to go into the bluebells. Balance it all out nicely, and then when the gloss coat goes on, it should bring out a really nice gloss into that. This one should match it quite nicely. This is for Phyllis. This one is going to be primroses and violets, so they should make a nice little match pair. They all go together. So these two were for sisters, Vera and Phyllis, and then this is for the brother. So I'll catch up with you in a minute and show you how I'm getting on. So I'm just putting the finishing touches to the rock that I was doing for Dennis. Just going to finish painting his name in here. and then it will be done. Okay, so here we go. Just gonna pop his name in there, and then I'll start on the matching one for his sister, which would be in the same style stone, but with violets and primroses. It's hard when you live in the countryside for primroses not to be a favourite, because they are so pretty and they are so scented. They smell like springtime. You cannot help but love them. So I don't spray inside because it's too smelly, so I will just take this outside and give it a quick spray with clear lacquer so that it's then protected, because we don't want, obviously this needs to last a little while if it's going to go onto a gravestone. So this will be the next one with the matching flowers. Okay, I go to spray. Clear lacquer. Do the reverse side first. Let that dry for a minute. Get it right around the edges. And now it's time for the top coat. I do love the way it pops out the colours. You can literally see them glow now. So we'll give that a little minute or two to dry out, and then I'll put a second coat on, and then we're done. So I've started sketching this one in. Primroses, violets. I was actually thinking little forget-me-not might be rather cute. Okay, so I've just basically done a little tiny rough positioning sketch on there, and then it'll be a matter of giving it a good paint. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of this little bit of dirt off here and here, and then I'm going to go for it. So violets are such delicate little flowers, but so beautiful. When you see them in the hedgerows, they're delicate little flowers peeping up through the vegetation. They're very low to the ground, so they don't grow tall, and so sometimes you actually have to sort of spot them in amongst all the moss and other things growing around. But they are very beautiful, so when you see them it's always a little bit of a treat. It's almost, what's it like? Almost like a miniature iris, but not quite so complicated. You've got two segments either side of the main part that comes down. I suppose almost a little like a little mini Loved of the Victorians. I'd have to look up in the language of flowers what violets mean, because of course the Victorians used the language of flowers when beaux were giving their young ladies a bouquet. They would put specific flowers in to give secret messages of, you know, their feelings towards the person they were presenting the bouquet to. Although I don't quite know how that works when the mother probably could look it up herself and see what they were saying. But it's still nice, still cool. We're all for that. The language of love. So I want to sort of blend the two together. So I want to try and make sure that the irises and, the violets and the primroses mix. Primrose in here and then another violet up there. Let's get this one in just so I've got its position. I was actually working with a child the other day in art class, the other week, and she hadn't realised that the little spike in top of the paint lid was for piercing the tubes, and she was using the end of a paintbrush to push it through, never realising that that's exactly what the top of the lids are for. So just in case nobody's told you, every single lid on the paint has got a little spike inside that you use to pierce the top of the paint. So there you go, little snippet of valuable information. I'll put the next layer in. I really need this layer just to dry off a little bit, otherwise the paints will all get dirty. So I'm going to let this one dry off. I think I've got another violet up here, and then a little bud here. I think that's the top of a leaf there, and then I bring all the green down behind. So we'll have 3 violets, 3 primroses. Today, while painting, I will mostly be tasting some Thatcher's cider. We went and bought a big cross-section of Thatcher's ciders to try some of the different flavours, and today's flavour is a rather beautiful shade of pink. You see that colour of the cider here? Beautiful shade of pink. It is Thatcher's Rosé. Really rather delicious. So, if my lines get a little wonky, down to the Thatcher's Rosé. Okay, so the green on this is quite a bright green, but I might use a couple of shades just so I get the nice shape. I want to get that beautiful looping, almost walking stick shape to my line here. Painting on rock in that respect is actually quite a challenge to a certain degree, because the bumps on the surface of the rock, and this is a very, very bumpy rock, does make it difficult to get those lovely, clean, sharp lines. And I am struggling a little bit to do that. But it's okay, but it's just a little bit more difficult than I had hoped. There we go. Let that little layer dry up a little bit, and then I'll start putting the details in, because centre of the flowers, outlines. I think we might have another leaf coming up here behind. Then little extra markings on the violets. Try and get it a little bit bolder. And then the name, which I need to check the spelling, because Phyllis, which is the name of Alan's auntie, great auntie, can be spelt in many different ways, so I will check the spelling before I do it, because I don't want to get it wrong. I've just finished off doing some work on the stone for Phyllis. Oh God, I've got crazy hair today. Never mind, don't look at the hair. Don't look, I'll stand with the light so you can't even see it, just looks like fizz. Oh, lit up. So, doesn't help. Wherever that looks better. That's better. So, I have done a bit more work on Phyllis's stone. So that's Alan's aunt, great aunt. And I'm just touching up those last few touches on it. I've added Vera's name to her rock, and Dennis's is already named. So these were all brothers and sisters, these 3. So they're all together in the graveyard, so their rocks will all be on their thing. So I'm now going to spray this with the clear. I'll also put a little bit of clear over the name on this one, just to make sure that it doesn't weather. Then I'll see if it just needs any last minute touching up, because the spray does pop out all the details. Okay, so that's all 3 done. Excuse the noise, my husband's cooking in the kitchen with the microwave and he's making enough noise for the world. But there you go, all 3 stones. Sister, brother, sister. She was the eldest. He was a twin. But, had another brother, very dark. Anyway, so those are done.